Hi, I'm Jess Pearson, and I'm a Food and Health Development Officer at Edinburgh Community Food. Today I'm going to talk about the menopause and diet. First of all, what is the menopause? As we age, our hormones start to change, meaning we are no longer able to become pregnant naturally. This is a gradual process, and for most women, the transition starts between the ages of 45 to 55 years old. This time around the menopause is called the perimenopause. When we become perimenopausal, we may notice our periods become irregular and then stop. We may notice changes in our body, and there may be many different symptoms associated with this, which vary widely in their severity from person to person. Then 1 year after a woman's last period, they enter the menopause. The symptoms of perimenopause can occur months or even years before periods stop and can continue up to 4 years or more after the last period. Here are some of the symptoms associated with perimenopause and menopause. You can see they are split into things which affect the body and things which affect the brain. For the body, we may gain weight, experience hot flushes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, headaches, and joint pains. These are just some of the more common symptoms, but not everyone will experience these, and if they do, they can be very mild or much more severe and impact our lives to varying degrees. There are also many common symptoms associated with our brains, such as difficulty sleeping, irritability, low mood, anxiety, poor concentration, memory problems, and decreased libido or sex drive. Again, this is by no means an exhaustive list. There may be other symptoms not on these lists that we experience as part of our hormones changing with age. That may all sound rather gloomy and disheartening, but there are things we can do to help. If symptoms are troubling or begin before the age of 45 years, you may wish to discuss these with your GP. There may be treatment options available which could help, and it may be worth finding out more about these and the pros and cons associated. There are also changes you could make to your diet and lifestyle which could help with your symptoms and help us stay healthy as we age. We will talk about these, but first, let's have a look at some of the changes we see in our bodies as a result of the menopause. As explained earlier, when we age, our hormones change. The biggest change we see during the perimenopausal transitional period, and then after the menopause, is a significant drop in the hormone called estrogen. This impacts our body in several different ways. It causes our muscle mass to decrease, our bone density to decrease, our blood pressure and cholesterol to rise, and we also see a rise in the levels of other hormones called androgens. Let's look at these changes in more detail. First, the decrease in muscle mass. This basically means that the amount of muscle in our bodies drops, and less muscle means we use less energy and need fewer calories in the day to keep us going. If we continue to consume the same calories as before the menopause, this excess energy is stored as fat, and we may gain excess weight that we don't want. What's more, our body shape may also change. This excess weight is more likely to be stored around our waist compared to around our hips and bum because of the increase in those other hormones called androgens. Estrogen makes our body shape more like a pear, but as the amount of estrogen in our bodies drops away and the androgens start to take over, the fat is likely to move more towards our middle and create more of an apple shape. This fat around our waist puts us at higher risk of these diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. It is therefore really important to ensure we maintain a healthy, balanced diet as we age. We may also want to reduce our portion sizes slightly. This will help to balance the level of energy in and energy out so that we don't gain unwanted extra weight, especially around our tummies. The diagram here is the Eat Well guide, which shows us how much of the different food groups we should eat to get a healthy balance. It shows a third of our diet should be fruits and vegetables. This can be fresh, frozen, tinned, or dried, and we should aim for 5 portions per day. A third should be starchy carbohydrates, and choosing more whole grain varieties with higher fibre is ideal. The pink section is protein. This includes meat, fish, eggs, and pulses such as beans and lentils. Choosing lean meats and more plant sources for our protein will help us reduce the amount of less healthy saturated fats we eat and increase our consumption of fibre. The blue section is for dairy and dairy alternatives like soya milk. Choosing low-fat varieties will also help reduce saturated fat further. There's a small section for oils and spreads, as we should try not to eat too much of these high-calorie foods. And then the processed foods and high-fat, salt, sugar, snacks are outside the plate, as we should eat them less often and in smaller amounts. So, aiming for this healthy balance overall will help stay healthy after the menopause. Physical activity is also important to balance our energy in and energy out. We can increase the amount of energy we use up each day by staying active. It's recommended we do 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise each week. This can be split up into 30 minutes 5 times a week, or whatever works for your schedule. Moderate intensity means anything that gets you a little bit breathless. So jogging, swimming, team sports and dancing are all great options. We should also do 2 sessions of strengthening or weight-bearing exercises per week. That might be yoga, Pilates, weightlifting, hill walking, or heavy gardening. Finally, our modern lifestyles often lead us to spend long periods of time sitting or lying down. And this kind of inactivity is known as sedentary behaviour. We should aim to spend less time being sedentary, and therefore it's wise to get up and have a walk around at least once an hour. If you work at a computer, setting an alarm to remind you to move about each hour can help. One of the other things affected by the menopause is bone density. When the levels of estrogen in our bodies decreases, our bone density also decreases. This diagram shows how bone density changes throughout our lives. When we are young, our bone density increases, and at around 30 years old, it reaches its highest point. Then after 30, there is a steady decline, and then after the menopause, this drops much more quickly. You'll notice that bone density is higher for men than women also. So this decline in older age is worse for women. The lower our bone density, the higher our risk of osteoporosis. This is a brittle bone disease and puts us at risk of fractures when we are older. It's therefore really important to try and maximise our bone density when we are young to our peak at around 30 years old, so that it's higher. And then the level will naturally drop in our older age, and that won't be quite so low as to put us at risk. We can also slow the rate at which our bone density decreases in older age using the same methods. These include weight-bearing exercise. We already mentioned this earlier, as it's recommended we do some weight-bearing or strengthening exercises twice a week. Also, taking vitamin D supplements. We know that our diets alone cannot provide all the vitamin D we need. The Scottish weather isn't great for helping our skin make vitamin D from sunlight either, so a supplement is recommended for everyone. This supplement will help us absorb the calcium we need from foods and ensure we have enough to keep our bones strong. We should also include 2 or 3 portions of calcium-rich foods in our diet. This could be a small yogurt, a matchbox-sized piece of cheese, or a glass of milk. And if you choose non-dairy alternatives, then ensure these are fortified with calcium. Many milk alternatives are fortified, but the calcium and other vitamins and minerals can settle at the bottom of the container, so give it a shake before you pour it out. After the menopause, we also often see a rise in cholesterol and blood pressure. This puts us at increased risk of heart disease and stroke. We can help stave off these issues by adopting a heart-healthy diet. This would be a diet which is largely plant-based, lower in saturated fat, higher in fibre, and lower in salt. Just including 1 more portion of fruit or vegetables in your day, switching from full-fat dairy to lower-fat options, and opting for brown bread, rice, and pasta can really make a difference. The research is very clear that too much salt in our diet raises blood pressure. So keeping an eye on your salt intake is also very important. Much of the salt we consume is already added to the foods we eat by manufacturers. So consuming less processed foods and checking the labels for salt content on those that we do consume is a good idea. The traffic light system on the label will show red for high salt, so choosing more amber and green foods for salt will also help reduce your salt intake. It's a good idea to gradually reduce the salt you add to your food and use spices to give it flavour instead. Most of us will not notice small decreases in salt levels, and our taste buds will adapt to become more sensitive so you will need less salt overall. We can also include some cholesterol-lowering foods in our diet to help reduce our risk of heart disease and stroke after the menopause. These foods include soy proteins, such as tofu, edamame beans, and soy milk drinks and yogurts. Also nuts. A handful each day is all you need to help directly reduce your cholesterol levels. Oats and barley also actively reduce cholesterol, and including a portion of oats at breakfast time each day is an easy way to incorporate them into your diet. Finally, stanol and sterol foods. Stanols and sterols are naturally occurring in some foods and are also added to some food products for their bioactive health benefits. Here are some examples of brands and foods containing stanols and sterols. Brands such as Flora Proactive and Benecol make low-fat sterol-containing spreads, and many of the major supermarkets also make cholesterol-lowering yogurt drinks. There are also some other brands, such as Locol, making reduced-fat cheeses containing stanols and sterols too. There are other foods which can also help during the menopause. Foods that act like estrogen in the body are called phytoestrogens. These include soy foods like tofu, soy drinks, and edamame beans, but also linseeds, which you can add to porridge or cereal in the morning, or sprinkle on almost anything really. Phytoestrogens are cleared from the body quickly, so it's best to eat them frequently throughout the day. And after a few months of including 1 or 2 portions in your diet each day, you may notice an improvement in hot flushes. It's always a good idea to quit smoking, but especially after the menopause. Quitting smoking will lower your risk of heart disease considerably. Speak to your GP for advice on how to quit. We also know that caffeine and alcohol can make hot flushes worse, so choosing decaffeinated options may help. It's also worth considering decaf options if you are suffering with sleep issues and low mood due to the menopause. A quarter of the caffeine in your midday cup of coffee will still be in your system at midnight, so it may be affecting our sleep more than we think. It's recommended we consume less than 14 units of alcohol per week, spread evenly across the week, and with 2 alcohol-free days per week. Here's an idea of what 1 unit of alcohol looks like. Around half a pint of cider, a small glass of wine, a standard shot of a spirit, about half a pint of beer, or an alcopop, all contain 1 unit of alcohol. Not only could it improve hot flushes, but trying to reduce your alcohol intake will also be positive for your energy balance and your sleep too. So in summary, perimenopause can cause many different symptoms. After the menopause, we are at higher risk of some diseases, but we can keep healthy by eating a balanced diet, choosing plant-based, high-fiber, low-salt and saturated fat foods. Try adding soy foods to your daily diet, and also remember to stay physically active. If you would like to learn more about what we do at Edinburgh Community Food, visit our website at www.edinburghcommunityfood.org.uk or get in touch with us via email or phone. Thanks for listening.